Hello students, welcome back to another learning video. In today's video lecture, I am going to discuss a few important questions from Delhi University's 2022 question paper. We have previously solved a lot of important questions from 2018, 19, 20, 21 question papers as well. I am providing all the links in the description box given below. Now coming back to today's video, you see how your question paper is divided into different segments. You see passage-based questions, and then you have these poetry-based questions wherein you get these stanzas. Then you have questions related to chronology, and then you have this whole assertion reason segment, which is our topic of concern in today's video. So we figured out quite a good number of assertion reason questions in this year's question paper as well. I may now want you to look at the format of such questions first of all. Here you have two statements. Look on. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion A, denoted by A, and other one is labeled as reason, denoted by R. Alright, the first question that we are going to take in today's video from this year's Delhi University's question paper, particularly from assertion reason segment, is this. It reads, assertion, universal design is the design of buildings, products, or environments to make them accessible to all people regardless of age, disability, or other factors. Reason reads, ableism is discrimination and social prejudice against people with disabilities. In light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Here are our four options. 1. Both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. 3. A is true, but R is false. And 4. A is false, but R is true. Let's look at our two statements. Let's read our two statements or study our two statements carefully. Assertion says, universal design is the design of buildings, products, or environments. That's all. It in particular talks about what? Universal design of buildings, so on and so forth. But reason, if you look at it carefully, has got nothing to do with what assertion says. It provides us a simple definition on ableism, wherein normal people or people who've got normal abilities think that they are superior to people with disabilities. Or normal people, or wherein normal people think that people with disabilities require some sort of mental fixing. So you see, your reason has got really nothing to do with assertion. Now, let's look at our two options, first two options. A and R are true, but R is the correct explanation of A. Absolutely not. R is not the correct explanation of A, since reason has got nothing to do with assertion. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Absolutely. So both of them are true in their respective ways, but to reason, that is your ableism definition on ableism, has got really nothing to do with universal design of buildings. So our correct option here is option number 2. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Alright, now we take our next question, question number 2. Again, given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other one is labeled as reason, R. Assertion reads, Chinochebes, the African trilogy, consists of things fall apart, no longer at ease, and arrow of code. And reason reads, Ochebe religiously copied Joyce Carey's depiction of Nigerian people and cultural practices as portrayed in the latter's Mr. Johnson. In light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Both A and R are true, but R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. A is true, but R is false. A is false, but R is true. And then you also have these sub IDs related to all the above options that you have. Now, here, when you read your assertion, it says Chinu Achebe's The African Trilogy consists of Things Fall Apart, No Longer at Ease, and Arrow of God. This one is absolutely right. So we are cross checking any option that says that, assertion is right or assertion is true. That's clear for us. But when you look at your reason, it says Achebe religiously Achebe religiously copied Joyce Carey's depiction of Nigerian people and cultural practices as portrayed in the latter's Mr. Johnson. Really, you cannot say that he religiously copied because Achebe was driven, he was motivated, he was inspired to write something of that sort because even Achebe was deeply connected to Nigerian people's struggles and their cultural practices and their lifestyles, which is something that he always wanted to do. So, Mr. Johnson provided him that motivation, it provided him that inspiration to write something related to Nigerian people's struggles, which you see in a very deep fashion in most of his novels. So we cannot say that Achebe copied, okay? He was motivated, he was inspired to write something of that sort. So here our option number three, that is A is true, like we just discussed, that assertion is in any case correct. A is true, but R is false. Option number three is our correct answer here. Now we have our next question again from assertion reason segment. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other one is labeled as reason, that is R. Assertion reads Emily Dickinson wrote to a friend, Do you look out tonight? The moon rides like a girl through a topaz town. And reason reads This brief descriptive sketch is a telling example of Emily Dickinson's unique gift, the gift of evoking unforgettable pictures in the minds of readers. In light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Option number one, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. 2. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. 3. A is true, but R is false. And 4. A is false, but R is true. So these lines that you read here are from a letter by Emily Dickinson, the famous American poet, to a man called Samuel Bowles, who is also assumed to be her secret lover and who also helped her publish a lot of her works. Now, here Emily wrote, Do you look out tonight? In the letter, she wrote, Do you look out tonight? The moon rides like a girl through a topaz town. And then she went on to write, The moon rides like a girl, we shall never be merry again, so on and so forth, something like that in the letter. And then your reason says, this brief descriptive sketch is a telling example of Dickinson's unique gift, the gift of evoking unforgettable pictures in the minds of readers. Literally, Emily Dickinson was a very beautiful observer. She could draw images out of anything and everything. And this multi use of universal images stands as one of the most remarkable features of Dickinson's poetry. Now, keeping all these things in mind, if we look at our options, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Absolutely. Assertion is also right. Of course, it comes from a letter, like I said, and the reason is also right, since Emily had this beautiful gift of drawing images from nature. So A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Now you have your next question. Again, given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion A and the other one is labeled as reason R. Assertion reads, the Duchess is spied upon by Antonio in John Webster's The Duchess of Malfi, and reason reads, Antonio himself is the secret father of the Duchess's children. In light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Now you have your four options. Both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. A is true, but R is false. A is false, but R is true. And then you have your sub options 1, 2, 3, 4. So now if you look at your two statements, assertion reads, the Duchess is spied upon by Antonio and John Webster's The Duchess of Malfi. This is absolutely wrong. The Duchess is not spied upon by Antonio. Antonio in the work is her secret lover. She is spied upon by this character called Bessola, who is hired by her two brothers, Ferdinand and Cardinal. So assertion is wrong. And then you have your reason. Antonio himself is the secret father of the Duchess's children. Yes, this is absolutely right. Antonio indeed is the secret father who marries her in secret against her brothers, that is, Ferdinand and Cardinal, who were very much against the idea of Duchess getting remarried, who was a widow, right? So, reason is absolutely right, and assertion is wrong. So, it should be option number 4. A is false without any doubt, and R is true. All right, our next question from assertion reason segment. Assertion reads, the pilgrims in Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales narrate tales to each other during their journey to and from the shrine of Saint Thomas a Becket in Canterbury. And your reason reads, Harry Bailey, the host at the inn, suggests that each pilgrim narrate 4 tales, and the teller of the best tale will be rewarded with a sumptuous dinner paid by Chaucer. In light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. 3 is true, but R is false. And 4 is false, but R is true. When you look at your reason aspect, we figure out that it is Harry's idea to have every member tell a story that will be followed by a free meal for anyone who comes out with best stories. And quoting Harry directly, Harry the character from the Canterbury Tales directly, he says, quote unquote, and whoever of you does best of all, that is to say, who tells in this case tales of best moral meaning and most pleasure, shall have a supper at the cost of us all, here in this place, sitting by the post, when we come back from Canterbury. So here, in these two statements, your assertion is absolutely right. Comes directly from the work itself, that the pilgrims in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales narrate tales to each other during their journey. But reason gets like very particular in the sense that it says that the best tale will be rewarded with a dinner by Chaucer. Right. So A is true if you look at your option number 3, but R is false. Option number 3 here is our correct answer. Now we follow our last question from today's session. Again, it says, assertion reads, John Milton's Paradise Lost has a total of 4 invocations to the Muses and begins in medias res. And your reason reads, John Milton's Paradise Lost closely follows Greek and Latin epic conventions. In light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. A is true but R is false, and then you have A is false but R is true. Your assertion reads that John Milton's Paradise Lost has a total of four invocations. What is an invocation? It's an appeal made by the poet so that he can compose the poem in a much better fashion, right? And then it says invocations to the muses and begins in medias res. In medias res, it's a Latin phrase basically, which refers to starting something in between or plunging into the most critical aspect or the most critical situation, and which is then followed by a series of events, right? So that is assertion for you. And then reason, it says that it closely follows Greek and Latin epic conventions. First of all, John Milton's Paradise Lost follows all important epic conventions. And what are some of the most important epic conventions? Everything that is grand in nature, okay, like his stylized use of literary language, and then this grand style of writing, or writing that is absolutely sublime, writing that is absolutely elevated in nature. And then you have these grand allusions, rhetorics, similes, or metaphors, and then his absolute tale of mankind, fall of mankind, and then his use of invocations. All of it follows the idea that Milton uses indeed a lot of epic conventions. Now, if you look at your option one, it says both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. R says that he follows Greek and Latin uh, epic conventions, which he does. So, option number one is a correct answer here. So I leave you here to contemplate on all the important questions that we followed in today's video from this year's Delhi University's question paper. We will try to come up with more such videos. Till then, to join our M.A English entrance classes, you may call us at 8865028865 or log on to Finland Academy for any information related to our courses. Thank you for joining me here. I will see you soon in my next video. Take care.